What's up, bodybuilding fans? Welcome to Texas Bodybuilding News. Today's segment 101 with Jason. We have an honor to have Jose Luis Rodriguez, a natural pro bodybuilder. Wanted to bring him out here as a first guest. I've known him for a good while. We've competed against each other as well. So it's trying to bring these old school bodybuilders, so you can get to know about them, how they got started into the bodybuilding career, what motivate them, what's still motivating them, and stuff like that. So welcome to the podcast, man.
Dude, thanks for having me. It was awesome. That message just took me by surprise. And I love what you're doing here. And like you said, for the bodybuilding community, for the old schoolers and everybody up and coming, this is really something to get insight to help better give anybody out there watching who wants to compete or get some insight on this. Learn as much as you can from everybody who's done this before. So,
And that's one thing that I'm trying to bring here. That's the whole purpose of the podcast is I've noticed a lot of changes. We were just talking about that, how bodybuilding has changed, throughout the years, the mentality and
crazy
the
evolution.
yeah, it's changed. And we'll talk about the good and the bad of it. So first of all, let's talk about how you became into the bodybuilding career. Like how did that start? I heard you told me a while back your parents were, competitive
Yeah,
bodybuilders.
I remember being a kid. I was 3, 4 years old. My mom and dad were always at the gym. I remember going to them. Well, I remember going with them to the gym. One time I even got my finger smashed in one of the weights. So it's going to happen. But I never saw myself as a bodybuilder. My dad was the one that competed the most. My mom was also bodybuilding. So I'm from Laredo, Texas, and Laredo hosts this show every year, still to the day, called the Mr. Laredo, headed by Mr. Santos Ramos, Mr. Mexico. Yeah, so hey, hats off to him. So
Yeah, it's grown. It's huge. I
yeah,
remember
and
when I
that's still going.
yeah when I competed a while back. I remember I got introduced to that show to go do that show, and today I just got a notification that it's still going on.
Yeah.
And it's a money prize. And it's not a sanctioned show, but it's a money prize. So it's a big to me. It's a big amateur show. So
Yeah. So I've always been athletic. My dad, my mom were always, on me for sports. Not that they forced me for sports. It was just something I felt naturally good at. Track, basketball throughout elementary, middle school, played football, high school, played football, did powerlifting. But I let sports go a little bit because I started kind of going in like I also one of my other passions is music. So I liked both music and training, but I started focusing on a little music career with my bands and stuff. And
well, let's go back a little bit. So you said you played football.
yeah,
What position did you play?
actually in high school I played a lot of positions. I was second string quarterback. I was starting cornerback, kicker, punter, starting safety if I didn't play quarterback. And I would go in for receiver every so often when they needed some
How would you say
assistance.
your athletic ability at the time? I mean, were you
Dude,
decent, really good? Were you no?
not to toot my own horn, but I was right at the top. There's maybe like two other guys that were a little better than me, but speed, agility, hops, like I had.
And you said you kind of gave that a little bit to the side and you started a
Yeah,
music career. Are you saying like
yeah. I started music career, started playing with bands, doing recordings, getting booked for shows, doing small little Texas tours, around trying to get around because I mean, I before bodybuilding, before sports, I wanted to be a rock star.
wow? What was the name of the band?
My first band was called Default. We were together for about 3 or 4 years. We did get to open up with this one other bigger name called Dog Fashion Disco, so that was actually really cool. And I had a few bands in between. Uh, my current band right now, just called Dead Albatross, and we're still playing. We're still doing our shows, but we stopped the touring only because now we've got families. Some of the other members live out of town, so we have to coordinate practices and uh, to do that, everybody's got to be on the same
And
schedule.
what you play?
I play bass, so
Bass guitar.
whenever you hear the band, you hear that
The
heartbeat or
yeah.
that thump in your heartbeat. That's me.
And is that something you learned on your own? Bass guitar?
That's something I learned on my own, but I started off with guitar lessons at about 7. I was about 13 when I started playing. When I was being taught to play guitar formally. So it wasn't until about 15 or 16 that I started my first band. freshman year. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, no, that was
I gotta hear some of that music. I mean, I didn't know you were you used to have band, and I still have a current band. You know, that's pretty cool.
yeah, no, we got a couple of albums out, so I'll email you some
Yeah, I mean, listen.
listings.
Yeah, I mean, not a music buff again, but I mean, I did play the drums in high school. I was a drummer, but I don't think I never wanted to pursue it more. You know, like
Yeah,
I did it because, well, I didn't play sports in high school. I was too small, and my parents didn't let me play. They're like, you didn't get hurt, you know, get in the band. So I did the band stuff. You know, so after high school, is that when you kind of like got back into into the hardcore
yeah.
bodybuilding
After
thing?
high school, because I graduated at a buck 38, so I was always the lanky kid. I was still fit. I do my like push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups here and there, but I never took dieting or supplements or training as serious as one time I just had an epiphany. I had a girlfriend in college, and I went to go visit her up in Texas State, and I went to a frat party with them, and I was, being from Laredo, you go up to San Marcos, it's only about 300 miles away, but just the difference in size and the population over there with like these people, I'm walking around at a buck 38 little dude, just in a metal band, and I'm just looking at all these other like athlete type people. I'm just like, shit, like I'm gonna be out in college soon. Like
I need to do something to fucking grow. That's what people don't realize
yeah,
is I think I was the same way. I was like 135 when I graduated, and that's when I started bodybuilding. You know,
yeah,
so for that reason, I was like, man, like I was like the to me it was like that ironic. Oh, you're so small and cute, and school, and I was like, fuck, I want to be
yeah. I
cute
wanna
and
be
small.
cute.
I want to be Exactly. That's what we get into the magazines, and that's how I kind of got into working out, and
Uh,
the passion just grew from there.
yeah, no, and that's exactly it. The passion grew. It's like I I I got back to Laredo. I looked in the mirror and I was like, what am I good at? Like, what do I want to do other than what I'm gonna study for? And it just like fitness. I've always been good at sports. I've always excelled at sports. Why not just take out some certifications, start training? I had a sales job at the time, so it paid pretty well. So I was able to go get a bench set, a squat rack, and a buddy of mine and I. That's all we did after work. We just one time at like
Started at home gym.
yeah,
Little home gym.
we just started a home gym, man, and we just like reading all the muscle fitness magazines, watch the bodybuilding magazines, and the Ironman magazines also. And we just look at all the different bodybuilders and their workout splits, and it's like, all right, let's do this workout. All right, let's do
Yeah.
this workout. And we just started following the sets and working on our diet. And one time we were at Walmart like at 2, 3 in the morning, just looking around the dumbbell section. I found my first protein, a badass chocolate Joe Weider protein. I was like, whoa, I'm gonna get big. Like,
And that's it's funny, man, because like that's where we all started, man. Like magazines were our key, man. That was our clip notes, I guess, if you can say, like
exactly. And straight from the pros,
yeah.
and like you were saying, social media just now it's like everybody's got their own little breakdown, and I mean, there's so much out there, but
Yeah, I remember, same thing. I would get the magazine, we'd do that workout, and then wait till next month, let's see what's coming out.
right,
And then
yeah,
there'll be like this new supplement, coming out, and oh, let's go try it. I remember
yeah,
I was in a bunch, man. I remember I used to make my own protein shakes, man. I remember I used to put eggs and milk and bananas, and I remember I think I put ice. I was just making my own because I was the same thing as you, man.
yeah,
I couldn't grow. I was like, I mean, I'm like, I eat, but I'm not growing. Like
mhm,
I knew that that's what I'm talking about, calories and eat more. And I just ate, man. I just try to eat as much as I can. I remember one time I even threw a can of tuna in the shake, man, and I just did just to get that protein in there.
I didn't go as hardcore as tuna in a shake,
I
but
know I did that a couple. I think when I read
yeah,
somebody was doing that just to get the protein in. I was like, well, gotta do it, it's like that was our thing with the magazines, and then we would share notes and with our other gym members there, buddies and stuff like that. We would do that too.
yeah, and I guess because of back in high school, something high school curriculums don't do anymore. There isn't like health and sex ed curriculum anymore. It's like they've kind of done away with it. Now they're kind of going somewhere else, but that's another topic for another time. But I was actually also pretty good with like the health aspect, and I realized, look, we all have different body types. You're not going to respond to certain foods, or you're not going to be able to manipulate your physique right away. You've got to kind of train a certain way, eat a certain way to actually start to develop and change. And uh, that even I learned that even in some of the bodybuilding magazines, some of the some like bodybuilding and fitness books. I remember this one book that really changed my life. It's called The Edge. It was with I forgot who was the actual author, but it was co-authored with Michael Hearn. So
Okay.
Michael Hearn, like
Oh, I remember
the Titan, like yeah. So
It's
Gladiator.
they're American. Yeah, that's I remember. I remember when I remember seeing it. Yeah.
So, and I mean, of course, even like the previous gladiators, but I mean, like, but I was just stuck in that book, and I just it just opened up my mind to a whole new perspective on nutrition and training. So
I remember I had that big one, the Arnold Schwarzenegger's
eventually, I got the
bodybuilding
bodybuilding
encyclopedia. It was
encyclopedia.
like that big,
Damn,
you know.
that was like
Yeah.
that was like the Bible for every bodybuilder coming up, and you still go back to it, you reference it, and it still holds truth to this day. Like with all these new fad diets and different ideas and new approaches, like you gotta stick to your roots. There is something that's just like
Foundation,
the
man.
foundation, exactly the base,
Yeah.
fundamental. Like, you
Fundamentals.
can't beat the fundamentals.
And you said so you got certified, you
Yeah,
know, for personal training?
yeah, for
Through
personal
who?
training, nutrition. First, it was IFA, just something
Okay.
to kind of get my, get my foot in the door. Then eventually went up to Apex and ISSA. So
I got my SSA in 98.
yeah, yeah, mine was 2008.
Yeah, I got my 98 and I was the same thing. I wanted to learn more.
Uh-huh.
And I got it for that reason for myself. I didn't even get it to I would never thought I was going to personal training.
Right.
But I remember I got it because when I was going to San Antonio's for college, they were offering back then. It was like you go to the seminar, you know. Then there wasn't this online course now.
Yeah, now they just send you the
Yeah,
books, you know.
back then it was cool. And actually, the guy that spoke to us or was part of that at the time, Tom Platz. I don't even remember Tom Platz.
Yeah, dude.
He was
Yeah.
part of ISSA. And I remember he was our instructor. You know, Tom Platz, if you all don't know him, the Golden Eagle, the quads,
Huge quads, fucking
you know,
Quadzilla, the
he's known
original
for that. Yeah,
Quadzilla.
you know. But so to me, when I saw him, I was like, wow, I know this guy. He's part of ISSA, and he was our instructor, you know, mentor that weekend. You know, which is pretty interesting. You know, did you do anything else besides bodybuilding at the time? You know,
Well,
or
I started training, I started working out. I was just kind of doing my own thing. But yeah, I went to school in San Antonio for a while, and I wasn't doing a whole lot of bodybuilding. I actually ventured off to MMA.
MMA? Wow.
So,
Okay.
so MMA was badass. Like I was doing jujitsu, kickboxing 4 days out of the week. Did it for about 8 months, and it was just constant drilling. So with physical background, bodybuilding background, and then incorporating martial arts, like it just completely changed and made my training much more dynamic and versatile, much more efficient, effective. So, but I've always known about flexibility, stretching, body movements, mechanics. So incorporating all of that just really, really helps.
Did you compete in MMA
I was
tournaments?
I was going to, but no, just the typical like, oh, these guys from this other school are coming over, or we're gonna go scrap at this other school, stuff like that. But I didn't get to. I never stepped into the octagon.
Was that something you wanted to, or you were just learning to learn?
At
You know?
first, I wanted to learn just to learn,
Okay.
just to have that, experience and knowledge. But it got to a point where it's like, okay, like these scraps actually went good. Let's take it further and get to the octagon. But with my school, I didn't get a chance to go that far because eventually I moved back to Laredo. I was still a punk ass kid, dropped out of college, and I was just like, man, what am I gonna do? So I kind of just reverted back home and had to start all over again.
Okay, so you got back home. What year was that? Like around what time?
That was 2000. I went to school. I was doing that 2005, 2006. Uh, late 2006 was when I dropped out of school and came back to Laredo.
Okay, and then
And I got a hotel job, started working out a little bit, or got back into bodybuilding. But that hotel job had me there 6, 7 days out of the week. all day practically. So either I trained early in the morning or late at night, and I was getting tired. I was getting wore out. I was like, man, I got to find another job. I want to train a little bit more. I need to eat. So then I stopped working at the hotel and got picked up at a local GNC at the end
Old
of,
school
yeah,
GNCs.
at GNC at the end of 2006. It was November 2006 that I started working at a GNC. And since then, it's just been fucking bodybuilding all the way through till today. And I haven't looked back still. So
So
it's been
when you
awesome.
decide to, during working at GNC, that's when you decided, to get back into an actual bodybuilding show and to compete? That's something you thought about
I
then?
never thought I was going to compete.
Okay.
I was always pretty lean, fit, ripped. I always carried a physique, but I never had really the size to compete. But people would tell me, people at the gym, coaches at the gym, a few gym owners around the area, I guess because of the clientele and the customers, I started kind of getting to know a lot of people and networking a little bit that way. So I built up my customer base, going out to the different gyms. But I never wanted to compete. I just wanted to look good. I just wanted to stay strong, stay fit, just feel the ability to I know I can do that. And of course, build up on my supplement knowledge. And it wasn't until maybe 6, 7 months later, or from 2006, jump fast forward to about March, April 2007, when I met my first bodybuilding coach or sponsor. He was in from out of town, just walked into GNC, and I was like, "Who's this like buff dude like walking in here like I've never seen him in Laredo." Laredo's such a small town, you kind of tell who your people are.
Who lives here?
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
exactly. So he kind of scoped me out a little bit. He's like, "Hey, do you have the genetics to compete? Have you ever thought about it?" And I was like, "You know what? Everybody always tells me, but it's like, no, I don't want to compete. I want to step on stage." And granted, my dad was a bodybuilder. He did it in the '80s, but I just never saw myself doing it. And he's all like, "Well, let's talk. I want to ask you some questions, see if, this is something you want to pursue. And if you want to step on stage, I'll help you out. If you don't, then hey, you can continue on and do whatever it is you want to do." So the next day, met up for lunch, talked, and what do I sign?
And
He
it's
just broke
proof.
everything down. He's like, "Yeah, you could do this, do the show." Showed me his portfolio, different people he trained, the organizations, all the traveling that entailed. And I was like, okay, like I'll give it a shot. I guess if you're gonna pay for it, like,
Yeah, well, I mean
and that
that
always helps because traveling, hotel, food, supplements, it would get expensive, man. On a GNC salary, I still live it at home, not for nothing, but
and what was the name of the team, or what was it, the coach name?
Team Undisputed under Mr.
Okay.
White. So,
Okay.
but yeah, no, it's that's kind of uh, that's how I got my foot into the actual bodybuilding door. Granted, I already knew who Bernadette Galvan was, Tony De La Rosa, or Garza, sorry, mixing up some names there, and Miguel Rojas from Laredo Olympus. Like, even seeing those guys, it's just like I never just did bodybuilding until then. So
So what show did y'all decide to do for your first show?
it was the 2007 NPC Gateway Classic.
Burnett show.
Bernadette show in Laredo. Yeah, I'll never forget the date, October 13th, 2007. And I already had envisioned it. It's like, okay, that's a show we're going to do. And I already won it. This was like 6 months before. So
And that was at the time. I think her. I think I don't know what year she started that show, but I remember I did that show earlier before the
I
2007.
think it was like 2003, 2004,
Yeah,
something
because
like
when I
that.
did '07, I was doing my last
Uh-huh.
national shows, and but I did that show, and it was a regional qualifier, and it was getting big at the time, And you did what class? What class division?
Bodybuilding lightweight novice. Just going in as my first time, wasn't trying to overstep my boundaries or anything. It was basically a learning experience. So,
And from what you were doing prior to actually a full blown prep,
mhm.
what was some of the difference that you did? That
Probably just add a meal to to the plan because I already knew about the eating every 3 hours. I knew about meal timing and portioning, nutrient timing. So when he set me up with the diet, it was all like, you're gonna eat this at this time and just follow that and let your body do its natural course. Take the body take its natural course. So it was just a couple of adjustments of food stuff I was already doing. Now I had an actual structure and I had an actual food plan for uh for an actual prep. So there's a lot less carbs, but I mean that comes to the
What
territory.
was one of the hardest things adjusting to something like that, like an actual prep for your first time?
Actually, it was, and that's the thing. Like I felt really natural at it. I felt like this is something I was already doing. I know how to do this. I wasn't really going out. I pretty much just worked, stayed at home, trained already. So my discipline was already there. My focus was already there. I guess the only hard part that I had to adjust was like closer to the show, just some of the cravings.
Yeah.
But at that point, it really wasn't the task for me, and that's why I felt like, okay, I'm in my element. I feel good. So
And what you weighing at?
I weighed in at 154.6, 154.4, something like that. Like almost right at the bottom of the lightweight class,
Yeah.
or around mid lightweight class. I think cutoff was like 149 or 52, something like that.
Yeah, because I know that back then, like I said, it was regional, so it only had three classes. It was light,
Yeah,
middle, and or light, heavy, and super, something like that. It was only three classes back then.
yeah, light, middle, and heavyweight.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, that's all it was
yeah.
there. Yeah, before they started adding like super heavyweight or light heavyweight. But at that show, it was just those three classes
Yeah.
in the novice, I believe. So.
And when you won your division, the lightweight, what did you feel, and how did it did what was some of the feelings afterwards?
A little, it's just more motivation, a little disbelief, like wow, like all this, like, and then freaking wow, like I got my trophy. It was just, it's truly an undescribable feeling to be able to get on stage your first time and actually expect to win that first time. Like I there was some good competition in my class. There was about six other dudes there, and it's like, man, like this guy looks bigger. This guy, you know, he's got bigger legs, or this guy's got huge shoulders, whatever. But one guy came up to me and he's all like, they're gonna pick you, like your core and your back was just insane.
Were you more conditioned, yes, in the cemetery, or how did you beat these guys?
Symmetry, condition, and core. Core, like it's just all the judges
So you
told me.
said there were about six.
Yeah,
And that's what people don't realize. Back
yeah.
then, it was just bodybuilding for
Mhm.
men and women. And I believe that at that time, maybe they started doing the figure, right? For the girls.
It was big.
Yeah.
There's figure bodybuilding. There was still women.
Fitness.
There was still women's bodybuilding.
Yeah, women's bodybuilding.
There was
Yeah.
fitness. There
But
was
for us
still yeah,
guys, there
yeah,
was only one division. There
yeah.
wasn't no men's physique. There wasn't
No
classic. So,
classic physique. It was just straight up bodybuilding. Yeah,
so
that's
the
all you
classes
did.
back then were packed. Yeah, packed. I remember I doing my amateur shows, 10, 12 per class, and it was hardcore bodybuilding. I mean, these were bodybuilders, like mentality, wise.
Yeah.
So then you kind of got the bug to do more, kind of keep going with it.
After that, they're like, you gotta stay back here. You're gonna compete the overall.
Oh, that's right.
So it was lightweight, heavyweight, lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, and it was just a symmetry round, pose down, crowd cheering, and they call your name, your number out for the overall. And after those, oh, and funny thing, I had a freaking concert that night to attend to also.
After your show?
After my
Oh,
show,
shit.
I had to drive to the venue because I had to show with my band that same day.
Oh, man.
It was ridiculous. So uh, I was hoping like, oh man, I don't want to miss my music show. I don't want to miss my concert. So right after, as soon as overall was done, I was like, fuck, got the overall, and I was just. My emotions were everywhere because it's like everybody wanted to take pictures.
Yeah.
People were like, "Hey, congrats!" Just the whole gist of just after a show, people wanted to go eat. It's like, no, like I got to get to my venue in 20 minutes. Granted, the venue was maybe like 5 minutes away, everything. Laredo back then was 10, 15 minutes away. But there I am, like in like loose clothing, like my workout pants, walking up to the show, my two trophies, like, yo guys, look, I won. So,
First and overall. Wow.
yeah,
Your first show.
first and overall, and I remember it was fucking hilarious. You know, I'm on stage, I have my bass, the lights are still on you, and I'm the only tan, pro tan dripping through my face. It was awesome, man.
And that would
So.
have been exciting to see. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, that was
But
so
like,
like
why is the guy so dark?
exactly. I'm super dehydrated. Had my Pedialyte on stage because hey, back then I was dehydrated for like 2 days. You know, a day and a half. You start cutting water the day before, and then day of the show, it's like you're not drinking any water until after the show, and you just gotta sip water
Yeah.
gradually. But then there I am expelling more energy, sweating more on the rock stage, and it's like, damn, like so. But yeah, I forgot that was actually something else that was going on that day. So, but after that, I took a little time off, or I took maybe like 3 months off because my next show was the NPC West Texas Classic, and that was in March of 2008, and that was in Lubbock. So driving from Laredo to Lubbock, damn, like that's a horrible drive. That's
Oh, dude,
that was
when I did my show,
long
I went
drive.
from here all the way to El Paso.
Oh, dude,
I
okay.
did okay. I
No
did
way,
that.
man.
That was my
No
show when I
way,
did
man.
2015. I went. We drove from here all the way, and I was like, "Correct, man. That's the day before the show. We had to
Yeah.
get there." No, that drive sucks,
Yeah,
man.
no,
That drive sucks.
and especially being depleted,
Oh man,
dehydrating.
and peeing every couple hours.
Exactly. It's like the road. Okay, yeah, granted, you're in the back seat laying down, but the road drive, the drive itself really just stresses the body out. Like you got to be resting. You can't be thinking about certain things. And I mean, a lot can happen on the road.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, like you said, you got to pee. And after a certain point, after like San Angelo, there's
There's
nothing.
nothing.
There's
There's
nothing
nothing
out
out
there.
there.
You got to go off the side of the
Yeah.
road. Shit. So
And so then you kept doing NPC shows.
I kept doing NPC shows for the year 2008 and 2009, but I still wasn't getting any bigger. You know, people were still like, "Oh, are you gonna get bigger? You gonna get bigger?" It's like I don't want to get bigger. I just want to put on maybe 10 more pounds on my physique, 5 more pounds on my physique. So I moved up from the bottom of the lightweight to the top of the lightweight. So I was coming in fuller, the same conditioning still. Granted, my 2008 year wasn't as good as my first show. 2009, it's like I went backwards. I went from like maybe like third, second to first. And then after, because first show, hey, maybe it was a fluke, whatever, but I was still able to maintain good top three spots my next couple of shows. But the next few shows after that was just learning. It's never lost. It's always like, what can I improve from this past show? What can I
Yeah.
improve from this past show? And then after that, from 2010 on, it was just like first place, first place, first place.
But you decided to go into a natural organization.
Yeah, I decided to go into a national organization after one of my last shows in 2009, talking to one of the NPC judges, Prince Fontenot.
Prince, I remember
Yeah,
Prince.
Prince, also super awesome guy, really hard on you, tells you what you don't want to hear, so that actually,
He was a natural bodybuilder, right?
I think he was natural for a
Wow,
while.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember when I went to San Antonio, and that's why I met Prince. Like he was
yeah, yeah, he was up in San Antonio.
yeah, he
He
was
came
a
down to Laredo.
gifted bodybuilder.
Yeah, no,
But man, physique was
awesome physique,
yeah.
great guy, but yeah, he shoots it to you straight,
Told you the
cuts
truth.
cuts all the BS. Like, no, we ain't sugarcoating any of this stuff, man. So he told me his like, look, straight up, if you ain't gonna juice, if you ain't gonna get bigger, if you're gonna move with the lightweight, I recommend you go look for natural league. Start competing with people
Your playing field.
at your level, your playing field, so that this way, it's a bit more fair playing field. Because out here in the NPC as a lightweight, slim to none chance you're not gonna be winning overall shows. We're always gonna give it to the middleweight. We're always gonna give it to the light heavyweight. So I was like, you know what? Okay, so 2010, I transferred over to INBA, PNBA, and again, first natural show transfer
What
over.
was it? INPA.
INBA,
INPA.
International Natural Bodybuilding Association.
Association. Okay.
Yeah. So that was the sub division or the sub organization to the PNBA, which is the Professional Natural Bodybuilding Association. So that was my first show, July of 2010 in Azle, Texas. So it was right a little west of Fort Worth. So that was also kind of quite of a drive. But I mean, hey, it's a new organization, new place. So I was also super excited. Uh, Went with one of my sponsors, which was Buddha Nutrition, Miguel and his colleague Brandon Odom. So we went out there to that show 2010, and again, my first crossover show from organization. Won my class and won the overall. But here's the irony. Here's the irony. All my supplements were natural. It's a tested organization. All my supplements were natural. I could get everything over the counter. I didn't take any pro hormones, nothing synthetic. But one of the banned substances was DHEA. I just overlooked it in one of my products. It was inside a proprietary blend.
It had a little bit of
Those damn blends will get
yeah.
you. And a month after that show, I won that show, got to the overall, got my pro card. But a month after that show, I get that disappointing email like, Mr. Rodriguez, sorry to inform you, but your test results came back positive for DHEA. We're going to have to revoke your pro status and put you on a year probation before you can compete in this organization again and try to uh, get your pro or compete for your pro card again. Man, I was like,
When you got into the organization, was there like did they have a ban list that you look at?
yeah,
They
they had a ban list, and I want to say I think I'm not gonna say I didn't see it.
but like you say, it was a blend, and back
Yeah,
then, our supplements back then had a lot of little side stuff in there that you didn't know,
stuff
you
was
know.
hidden,
Yeah,
and not that it was anything like illegal.
yeah.
It
I mean,
was
like I said, it was over the counter. You can
yeah,
go, we could buy a Federer back then. Yeah, Federer was in the fat burners, and it wasn't a big thing, and a lot of these pre-workouts had, some good strong stuff in there, and they even had a little bit of pro hormones in there, some of the stuff just to give that kick.
yeah.
So you felt it, you're like, this shit works, and you would get hooked on that product. Back then I mean, it's still not as regulated, but they did put some stuff in there.
A lot of loopholes
Yeah.
now. Yeah, so
Well, if you notice the stories of Blackstone Labs and Recon, that's what happened with them. That's why they got sentenced to prison because they were using a certain ingredient blend into the product, something like that. That's not, you can't use.
yeah.
But that must have sucked.
Dude, it totally sucked, man. I was like, man, all this work just to just piss it down the drain for a product that I overlooked. Like, man, I was kicking myself in the ass that whole year. Like, it's like, okay, so let's try another natural organization and really watch what I take this time and just leave no room for doubt.
I believe
So,
were you the first pro bodybuilder natural down here in the valley?
I want to say yes, because I don't recall anybody else. The only other bodybuilder I can think of that was natural at the time was Homer Alafa.
Homer Lafayette.
Yeah. So
Yes, actually, he still is a natural competitor. That's one guy I was gonna bring up here, man.
yeah,
He's a
no,
really good guy. That guy's been
be aware for that segment. It's gonna
that,
be a
that,
good
guy,
one.
that
Yes.
guy's been on one of the OGs,
Yes.
and competing still. But yeah, I need to find out for him, like what he turned natural and what organization it was.
And Laredo definitely. But I was actually already living in McAllen in 2010. I moved out here in 2010 to the RGB to work with Danny Martinez over at Lean. Back then it was just Lean, Lean Nutrition or Lean Supplements. He runs a meal prep place and supplement also. Lean Lifestyles over in McAllen, Texas at the moment. So
That guy's been around for a while.
he's also one of
He's
the
been around,
OGs in the game. He's competed. He's coached so many people, got people to so many levels. I am one of the testimonies. So
Yeah, Daniel's been when I was there too, man. That's one thing that the whole podcast is about. I want to bring all these people in here to give them a platform to talk about their story, about their upcoming with bodybuilding, and some of them are still into the industry, which is pretty interesting. So luckily they only banned you for or suspended you for 1 year because I
one
know
year,
some
yeah.
organizations you're banned for like 7 years or 5 years or something like that. Crazy.
Sometimes even for
Yeah,
life.
for life, yeah.
Yeah.
So
You could check out the IMBA website. They have a Hall of Shame. And
did they put you there?
no,
Oh,
there,
okay.
no, no. But you just go through all the different all the different people that like they're banned for life. You know, it's crazy, and I mean it's not. I really don't think it's something to be ashamed about because I mean there's more people juice to the gills than you even think. But for an organization that doesn't condone it, that just runs strictly on natural, well, they're just gonna put you up there and kind of put a little throw a little shade on you.
And,
But
and, and my thing on it, because I've trained natural competitors and I've had pro natural competitors, the NFF, GPO. But I remember I was telling one of the my clients, Frank, and I was like, dude, some of these guys aren't natural, right? There's ways to beat the test. And to me,
yeah,
that is cheating because you're going to a tested organization. Be natural.
you can prep for like 6 months unnaturally. You can clean out in 3 months, but you see somebody has already developed that base.
Yeah.
So it does give somebody that start,
Yeah.
So
So I mean, it is what it is, But it's you're trying, like you said, you're trying to go into a place where it's a playing field, where you think it's a playing field, natural in a non-tested, organization, in a tested organization. So after that year suspension, did you do another organization, or did you just wait for that
I
year?
did another organization, but I also went back to that same show a year later.
Okay.
And I love this story. This story is like it's not this story wasn't actually even about winning. Of course, well, before I get into that, going back to that same show that I got suspended from, I go back, but I'm not as ready as I was the year before. I did kind of slack off on my prep, especially 2, 3 weeks out, which you're really not supposed to. But I can't be totally kicking myself in the ass for it because I know what I did wrong. I really wasn't on my cardio, and maybe like 10 days before, I was out having sushi with my girlfriend at the time. That one mistake or missing 2 or 3 cardio sessions at such a critical time will show on stage 2 weeks later. I screwed it up.
Let,
But
let me stop you right there, just because it's true. Like, yeah, like I think what's happening nowadays
uh
is these new clients or competitors is I want a refeed, I want a cheat meal, I want this, I want that. I mean,
not at those times.
dude, back then there was no such thing as a cheat meal for us. There was
No,
no refeed.
no.
We went hard 12, 14, 16 weeks, whatever. It
Yeah.
was not like it wasn't even our part of our vocabulary back then. It was
Yeah,
just like
no,
you're prepping for a show.
yeah.
That's it.
Oh, cheat meal refeed. That happens the night after
After
the
show.
show.
Yeah. Nowadays, now with the new generation competitors is like, 6 weeks out. Oh, I had a cheat meal. I'm like, why? Like,
Yeah.
it's I just don't. I never understood that. Now there's some people. I mean, there is some competitors that are on shape. They can get on stage like 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, they're ready, and they're just trying to maintain, which is ideally, But I had no concept of having a cheat meal till after the show.
Mhm.
What was your cheat meal after the show? Actually, well, is there something specific you always ate?
After the shows, I always craved pizza and mango margaritas. That's all I wanted. Pizza and mango margaritas. So, but funny, like most people crave certain types of food, but I always wanted the same thing. Sometimes I didn't even want to eat. Sometimes I just wanted a fucking mango margarita.
My tradition was after every show it was a water, because I mean I love water back then. Get the double meat, the cheese, the bacon, and that would always get the milkshake and everything. But that was my thing after the show too.
Oh, cereal. Just the day after, just I kill like 2 or 3 boxes of cereal. Like by Monday, Tuesday, my stomach was out to here. Just fucking
Hurting, right?
big time. Just
Hurting.
like cereal, like oh, you crave cereal after? So I was like, yeah. Like right after the show, mango margarita pizza. Sunday and Monday is just cereal, honeycomb, Captain Crunch, Cocoa Pebbles, like whatever, just cereal snacks.
Yeah, it was those the day after. I remember, yeah, your stomach
Oh,
extended. Still had my 6 pack, but I was like, it
right,
hurts.
you just your picture looked like turtle shell,
Yeah,
and
I'm
right
like,
there, just
oh.
blocks on your ass, but just like
Yeah. And then I never did that again. I was like, no, that hurt too much.
yeah.
But okay, so then you went to
So yeah, I did that show, and just sort of in a nutshell, because this was this is really cool because that same year I was competing in two different organizations. From IMBA, I went to WMBF, and it was about a 3 week split. So in July, I believe, it was June of 2011 that I went to uh, that show in Azle, Texas again, where I got banned, or where I got the
Suspended.
probation. Yeah, where I got the probation. Uh, I wanted, wanted to try to get my pro card there again. So there was four people in the class that time. Actually, no, there's five people in the class actually that time. I ended up getting third. My other friend ended up getting second, and this one guy who we just didn't feel got first.
Oh, well.
But we came to realize that at the end of the show, he was the hometown hero. Not saying politics took into play, but I mean sometimes
But
that's
something like
something
that,
like
right?
that. So I got third, my homeboy got second, and he got first. So it's like, all right, fine. Like I'm gonna go into a new organization in the next in 3 weeks. So let me just focus on that. And this other organization, or even the IMBA and the WNBF, they already had physique, they already had bikini and stuff like that, but they called it something a little different. I was like men's physique, or they called it beach body.
Beach body.
So they were a little bit ahead of their time as far as divisions than the NPC was at the time. So I was like, oh, they got this division, and you came out with like little like little board shorts, not the long ones that
No,
the
they
NPC
were more
uses.
like
They were like the higher type,
yeah.
yeah. So I decided to do both classes. So I did the physique, the swimsuit or whatever they call it, and the bodybuilding. The swimsuit I ended up taking fourth, and it was a top five, so I felt cool, I was awesome. But then in bodybuilding, or actually walking into the weigh-in for that second show, I see the guy that placed first at the other competition.
From the
So
other
from
organization
the
that
other
okay.
organization that I felt shouldn't have won, he was just super arrogant. Oh, it just rubbed me the wrong way. So as soon as I'm walking in, and this show was actually taking place in Austin. So I walk into the hall for the weigh-ins, and I see him, and I'm like, oh shit, it's a dude that got first place 3 weeks ago. At that point, first place winning went out of my head. I didn't even care about winning. I just cared about placing higher than
Beat
that
him.
guy.
To beat
I just
him.
wanted to beat him because I know we're there for the same competition, we're there for the same division, we're there for bodybuilding. I just want to beat him. I could get fourth, but he's gonna get fifth. I could get fifth, but he's gonna get sixth.
That
So
was that was your company.
that was my
Just that guy.
that was my win. I didn't care about anything else. So we step on the bodybuilding stage. Bodybuilding, we do our symmetry round, hose down, all that stuff. By the time that show comes around, they're calling out the trophies. Third place. I don't even want to say his name. Third place. They gave it to him. I was like,
Got it.
I looked next to him and I was like, that's how it should have been last time. Like they should have called me out for sportsmanlike conduct. But man, I was just so fired up. Like, oh, I was just so pissed. So they call him for third place. They call me for second place, and then they call this one other guy for first place, who was well deserved. So we're out there getting our trophies, whatever, and then top three gets like some type of like certificate along with their trophy. So he walks up, and his certificate falls, and I was like, "Oh, I think this is for third place." I just, and he was mad. He was just bitter the entire time. His cocky face on stage went from like, "Yeah, me," to like, and I was just like lit. I was like, "Dude, that's how it should have been last time. Like, we're not in your hometown." I was just but that was the win for me. So sometimes it's not always about first place. It's about, hey, like sometimes it's a rivalry. Sometimes it's a bet. But typically we want to place first. Why lie? So, but for me at that point, hey, I got, what is it? I don't want to say revenge, but it's like, okay, that's
Yeah,
where I should
redemption.
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 That's where I should have been. That's where I
Yeah,
should have been. So.
I've had incidents like that.
Yeah, like a deserving win, not like, oh, you train with this guy or you're from this town, let's give it to you. Like, no, no, let's redemption. So,
Yeah. I mean, I'll go off subject. I'll tell you my story, which was I did the 2015 the El Paso show. That was when I made a comeback, and I did the open show, and I won first in the light heavyweight, you know. And I remember during prejudging, you know, James Allen was there,
Yeah.
some of the judges were there that I know. And after prejudging, everybody was like, man, you look really good, man. You're gonna kill the show. This is your show. Even James Allen and stuff. I'll say, I mean, they told me I was gonna get over. Wow, this is. I just want to qualify. So that was my question. I just want to qualify, get first, so I can go to nationals. That
Yeah.
was our thing.
So sorry, just real quick, and not for nothing. Sometimes when you show up to the weigh-ins, you're being judged there already.
Yeah.
So remember that. Yeah. So
Yeah, so they saw my physique and they've seen me prior, and I remember there was, man, you look good, you're a good package, this you're gonna show. I remember James, hey man, you gotta get overall, and this is James Allen, which goes to a lot of shows as a
the
photographer. So
official
when they
photographer.
tell me something like that, I'm like, wow, I wasn't even thinking that. So I'm at the next show, okay man, it's good, I'm get it, good, and they gave it to the hometown guy, like you said, hometown guy, and not even that, I was a light heavyweight, and the guy was a welterweight. And I looked at James, and James was like they didn't know what to say. But anyways, yeah, I've had stories like that, So
It happens, and it's a truth that sometimes it's like a uh, don't tell, hush hush. It's something we don't want to put out there, but let's be real. Sometimes it is
hey,
politics.
but I don't care. I still beat it. I went to nationals, got my pro
Yeah,
card eventually. So
you just
I'm all
got to
good.
be the obvious choice sometimes, and the crowd knows. Crowd ain't dumb.
And you said it's WNBF. That's
WNBF.
now it is.
Now it's an NFF, Naturally Fit Federation. Yeah.
Okay, they've been around for a while too.
Yeah, and it used to be that show was actually hosted and put together by promoter David Lee Null. Real awesome guy, real cool guy. I'm not sure that he's doing it anymore, but I think somebody else took over. Uh, I want to say Larry Johnson, but I don't quote me on that. But yeah, no, it's by somebody else.
And then so once you end up getting your pro card,
Mhm.
which show was that? You the following year?
The following year in 2012, yeah, in 2012, because you got to get first in your class, or actually you still have to win the overall. So actually later that year in 2011, it was November 2011. It was the Dave Gooden show. It was the NPC Shredder,
The Shredder.
or actually at that no,
I don't think it was
no,
the
it wasn't
NPC. It
Shredder.
was
It was the NPC, but it was Shredder built or the Texas State Natural, something like that.
okay.
And that was the last year of the show in 2011. And that was actually another rivalry show
Okay.
because I was working with Daniel Martinez with Lean Lifestyles. And in the same year, I was also working with Aaron Garza. But I stopped working with Aaron Garza around that summer, went back to work with Daniel. And then one of Aaron's competitors was getting a little big headed. And he was like, "Hey, I'm going to do that show in November too. I'll see you there. I'll see you there." I was like, "Okay, I'll see you there. Sure, okay." I wasn't worried about it. Fast forward to November. Uh, I get first. He gets like second or third. So he was right there, right behind me. So that was my first show back into the NPC again as a lightweight. So I felt good. I just wanted to test it out. But of course, that was also deemed a natural show. So excuse me. So that's exactly why I decided to go back to NPC. So that was end of 2011. 2012, I'm prepping for the Alamo Showdown Classic, which is hosted by Miles Stovall in San Antonio, Texas. And that was in September of 2012. And they also had the beach body, they called it the beach body physique class and bodybuilding. And that guy, Aaron's competitor, was also going to do that show.
Oh, really?
So it was like, oh shit, it's going to be like another, it's going to be like a, what do you call it? Part two
Part two.
yes,
Right.
something. Anyway, so I can't remember if I did a show prior to that right off the top of my head. If I did, it was maybe a small show. But 2012, I decided to. Oh, right now we're going to backtrack just a little bit, but okay. 2012 at the WMBF, that was my second time competing at that organization, and it was a pro qualifier. So I did the beach body and I did bodybuilding. So I did win my bodybuilding class as a lightweight, and I actually won the beach body at that show also. I got first place in my class, and I got the overall in that one too. And I had submitted my entry form with some extra cash. Miles Stovall calls me a couple of days later after getting my entry fee. He's like, "Hey, you sent extra cash. Is it for this division?" I was like, yeah, it's for that division. I guess I just miscounted the fees, whatever." So I was like, "All right, I guess I'm doing two divisions." So funny story, badass story too. Like the second time doing the physique, but I got the physique that night and I got the physique overall. So that was super badass and that was a cash prize. So it was $1,000. So I got $1,000 for winning that for that show. And then for bodybuilding, Aaron's competitor was there. I don't even think he placed. I don't even think he placed. Um, Somebody else got third. A friend of mine that I competed a year before with that got second, and I was actually able to beat him this time. So I got first in my division there, advancing me to the overall, and come overall time as a lightweight, I took the overall. I was able to get my pro card, my second pro card, in a different organization, the WNBF, September of 2012, and man, I was just like tons of emotions. My girlfriend at the time was there supporting, just
So you wanted in bodybuilding.
I wanted
So
to
you wanted
bodybuilding.
you got your pro card
Yeah,
in the
in bodybuilding
pro bodybuilding.
and in the pro card in the physique division because winning the overall for that division also qualified you for pro status.
And this was
So
the WNBF.
WMBF, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
so
Okay.
I got a double pro card that night. So
Wow.
that was awesome, man. And doing it as a lightweight,
Yeah.
it's not totally heard of a lot in bodybuilding or different competitions like that. So it was really neat. And uh, yeah, that was just that was another what do you call it, milestone for me, another accomplishment and more credibility under my belt and stuff like that. And so
Well, that was awesome. Two
that
pro
two pro
cards in
cards in
one
one
night.
night, man.
Wow.
That was great.
That's
I felt unstoppable. I was like, you know what, like, and again, I just felt like that's my element. I know what I'm. I know that I was here to compete for the time that I had because it was easy for me. I knew what to do to win. So, just like I wanted to backtrack a little bit. 2009 was the first. Well, actually, 2008 was the first time I competed in the Mr. Laredo. I got second in my division there. Well, actually, I got first in my division, but I didn't win the overall, so I really wasn't Mr. Laredo 2008. But it wasn't until 2009 where I was actually able to finally claim Mr. Laredo title.
you got
So
Mr. Laredo title
I
2019.
got Mr. Laredo 2009,
2009.
yeah, 2009, and yeah, just like my dad won Mr. Laredo, I got Mr. Laredo, so it's kind
And you
of
wanted it as a lightweight or a middleweight?
I wanted it as a lightweight.
Lightweight.
I wanted it as a lightweight, yeah. So there were some dudes from Mexico, monster dudes, and again, condition, symmetry, posing.
Well, that's one thing. I think it's called Mr. Laredo, but
It's called Mr. Laredo,
there's a
but
team, right?
yeah,
That become
yeah,
that's from Mexico come in.
yeah. They call it Mr. Laredo y de la Frontera.
Okay.
So I mean, if you're within the area, you're more than welcome to go compete. So. And I was like, man, these dudes from Mexico, they're gonna beat me. Like, shit, I'm not gonna get Mr. Laredo. The first place pro, the overall prize, the fucking Thundercat Sword of Omens, and like, I want that sword. I want that Sword of Omens. And it's like,
Would you say that Mr. Laredo or getting your pro card, which one would you say is like the most title to have, that you have? Because I know, like I said, Mr. Laredo show is like every year is like competitive, and every year is like, oh, you're Mr. Laredo. And I know it's a big title, so but which one do you think?
big bragging rights for your
Yeah.
local town and stuff like that. But as much as I love my hometown, the Mr. Laredo, and the tradition for that it is. I really do think that getting a pro card at a national level is ultimately the goal, because I mean, it's not that you're staying in one place, but something like this, it's always about progressing, getting better, next level, next level. So after local, it's state, after state, it's national, after national, and you want to be the world champion, but there's no world champion in bodybuilding.
Did you compete as a pro?
Yes, I competed as a pro
Okay.
twice in 2013 with the WNBF. Yeah,
And what division?
bodybuilding bodybuilding lightweight. I don't think I did middleweight until the following year when I was finally able to attain the mass to compete with the heavier guys in the NPC. So of course I was still able to win my class as a pro, but the overall is almost the same thing. It's like, okay, we have natural pros and the overall, these guys at the heavier middle, light heavyweight, they look fucking sharp. They look good. So that wasn't really discouraging for me. It was just like, okay, now I'm at a more equal playing field as a natural. My body was just not at that stature.
But in a pro show, it's all one class, isn't it? Or how
Uh,
did they have it then?
they do have the lightweight pros and
Oh, okay.
middleweight pros, heavyweight pros. Yeah,
Okay.
and
I don't
then
think they have that now, do they? I don't
I'm
think so
not
that.
sure yet because in the past 3 or 4 years that I have not
Okay.
competed, I really haven't kept up too much with it. So
Well,
I'm not too sure.
so you won your pro as a lightweight,
Yeah,
but so they had and you won prize money on that?
not in the bodybuilding. The
Okay.
prize money was only for the physique, for the beach body.
Beach body.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because I don't think they have the different classes. I think now it's just all one
Yeah,
division.
the
Yeah.
organization, a lot of different organizations have several different set of rules, and uh, uh, the process is virtually the same, but sometimes it's different. Sometimes, and like you said, I've seen some organizations. I think when the GBO started coming out, I went to a couple of GBO shows. Didn't compete, but I just went to go check them out. It was just all the bodybuilders,
Yeah.
mixed weight.
Yeah. World class.
Now I think it's getting big to the point to where it's like now they got the lightweight, now they got the middleweight. I think one of the shows last year, I think it was just all pros together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so